So what do the latest federal polls have to say about who's going to win the next federal election? Well, it's a story we've been telling you for the last year and a half, and the numbers are holding for the Conservatives. Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Brian Lilley and Warren Kinsella. Polls, we have them, Brian. They're week after week. There's rolling polls, there's regional polls, there's district polls, there's all sorts of polls. But one thing is consistent with every single one of them, and that is not only have the Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre maintained their significant lead over the Liberals, they're not losing ground. And in fact, they're taking away from both NDP and Liberals.
Well, just to give you some headline numbers, latest Nanos poll, it's a 15.2% lead for the Conservatives over the Liberals. Abacus, an 18-point lead. Main Street, 20-point lead. The last Léger one was about a month ago. It's a 16-point lead. They are leading in every demographic group across the country. Men, women, young, old. They're leading in every region of the country except Quebec, where they're getting competitive. No, they're not going to have a huge breakthrough, but they're getting competitive. This is a massive change over the last little while. And it's the Liberals have been trying desperately to come up with something to turn it around. Their latest, hey, we'll bring in federal rent control. That's not something that can happen. We'll bring in a national school breakfast program. That's not something they can do without the provinces. They are flailing in trying to turn around support somewhere.
I think, Warren, the Liberals thought this coalition that they signed with the NDP, who's basically our co-government at this point, they felt comfortable because it's going to keep them in power in perpetuity, basically. It doesn't matter how badly or poorly any of the Liberals' cabinet ministers perform or act, or perceptions of corruption, questions about spending and misappropriation of taxpayers' money. The NDP is there to support them. And the traditional notion is, if for Conservatives to do better in this country, the NDP has to do well. I don't see that in these numbers.
No,
it doesn't seem to matter.
No. I mean, I think if you aggregate the numbers, I don't think, this Main Street 20 points, I don't think it's that. But I think, we're looking at 16, 17 points if you bring them all together. And what's remarkable, some of the analysis that's been done, polls in this country, from about the time Trudeau became prime minister until 2022. So during the pandemic as well, it was relatively stable. The two top parties were close together, but the Liberals were, their vote was very efficient, as we say, and they were able to eke out wins. That is no longer the case. Something happened in 2023 where there has been a complete drop in the Liberal support across the country. Right now, if you do kind of a seat map where things are going, and I was talking to senior Liberals about this, who I will not name, just yesterday, Liberals are looking at 1984 all over again, holding on to the island of Montreal, holding on to some, not all of 416, and maybe having a few seats, half a dozen seats outside of those areas. But that is the degree of damage that they are facing, because the polls for them, it's not an aberration. It's not an outlier, as we call it. This is the figure, and it's not changing. And what's remarkable is, I don't find, as you guys know, I don't find Pierre Poilievre particularly cuddly. I think a lot of Canadians feel the same way, but they don't care. They so want to get rid of Trudeau. They're giving Poilievre one of the biggest majorities in Canadian history.
And Brian, just sort of looking at some of those numbers just a bit more closely in terms of the regional breakdown, the road to a majority goes through the 905 in the province of Ontario. According to some of those latest polls, and we see that Conservatives up nearly 16 points in the province of Ontario, 11 points in British Columbia, and 17 points in the Maritimes. And so this is spelling doom and gloom, certainly for the Liberals. But it always comes back to this: Conservatives poll well outside of an election, things will tighten. How do they maintain this? And is it really just a matter of everybody's focused on getting rid of Trudeau?
At this point, I think everyone's focused on getting rid of Trudeau. Can they maintain this? That's the multi-million-dollar question at this point. we are stuck with the Trudeau Liberal NDP coalition until October 2025. That may keep the anger going, the fact that they've done this pension coalition deal. That may just annoy the public and make them feel doubly that he needs to go. But it's not just the 905. You mentioned also BC. The last two elections, Trudeau went, I think in the last one, he went up in BC. You know, BC has been very good to him in terms of his majority, in terms of his minority governments. It has kept him in power, even as things have started to go down. And now the Liberals are well behind and the Conservatives are well up. So they need both Ontario and BC. Yeah, they'll pick up a couple of seats in Quebec. They already hold most of the prairies, although they'll probably get about 4 more seats in Manitoba. Maybe they'll win 1 or 2 that they don't hold in Alberta. But they need Ontario and BC to switch in a big way. And if that holds, they've got government.
Last word to you, Warren. It doesn't spell like a good electoral result for the NDP, where they potentially will lose seats, likely to the Conservatives. I have lost count of how many elections Jagmeet Singh has been leader of the NDP, and his party has given him a shot at it, and they yet hold him responsible for this coalition that he signed, this deal he signed with Trudeau, and that might spell the misfortune in their electoral election coming up in October, and terrible polling results. Does the NDP finally say, all right, Singh, you've got to go?
I don't think they will, because their culture is losing, right? They're proud of losing. They think it's principled to lose. And the one time they allowed themselves to dream about government and, you know, fancier offices and limousines and all that was with Thomas Mulcair. And when he didn't deliver, they got rid of him. So I think they're back to their proud tradition of being losers. And
they got rid of him for getting the second best result they'd ever had.
Right.
And
but
Jagmeet Singh for losing seats twice.
Yeah.
But if you talk to any New Democrats, they are quite happy with the current situation. They feel like they're getting some stuff done because of this arrangement with Trudeau, and they don't feel that they're going to get anything done with Poilievre. So they're going for the gusto right now because they think that they're going to be a marginal voice. But if you look at the polls, my analysis of them is they're right in the rearview mirror of the Trudeau Liberals. I think I could see them actually picking up seats, not losing seats.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go to the TorontoSun.com. You're going to find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.